The Coaching Hour with Witumelo Tolakai
on Zoe Live Radio.
www.zoeliveradio.co.za.
Good evening. Welcome to the Coaching Hour. I'm your host, Khensani Chauke. It's Tuesday night, date night with Witumelo Tolakai. I'm still standing in for Witumelo Tolakai. And tonight we are continuing with communication. Remember last week we spoke about elements of communication. So this evening we will be talking about effective communication. So there's a verse that I love from Hosea 4 verse 6. It says, "My people are destroyed by the lack of knowledge." Not having knowledge can destroy you. So it's important for us to learn each and every day. And remember that Tuesday night, it's our learning night. And there's another quote I love from Liz Brown. He always says that when you open your mouth, you are telling the world who you are. So this is the reason why we are here tonight and learning about communication, how to be an effective communicators in our workspace, at home, in every relationship that we build. So today we're going to go deep into organizations, how to become a better leader using effective communication. And we are having our communication coach in our studio tonight, Coach Rebecca Sevilla. She was here last week. If you missed her, please go watch the show on elements of communication. And before we start, before I call her, guys, go grab your coffee, your notebook, your pen, invite your friends, and remember to like, to share, and subscribe in our YouTube channel. Good evening, Coach. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Coach Khensani and our amazing listeners. I'm looking forward to this evening because we're going to have a chat, and I hope that you will be relaxed, Khensani, because I'm just an ordinary person.
It's good to have you back, Coach. It's good to have you back in our studios regarding this topic of communication. And I remember last week we learned about elements of communication. We learned also about being confident about who we are and how we send our messages. And another thing we also need to remember that it's not what we say, what we're saying, or what we said, it's how we said it. So, Coach, tonight, over to you. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to learning on how to become an effective communicator, because last week you did mention that there's no way you can become a leader if you don't know how to communicate. And yes, there's no way I can become a leader if I cannot present myself, if I cannot communicate effectively. So to those who were not here last week, I'm going to ask Coach to kindly introduce herself and give you her background, what she does, how she does it, where she's from, and what is the name of her company. Coach, over to you.
Thank you so much, Coach Khensani. What an amazing evening for us. Mine is a journey of unlimited steps where at each milestone, I stop and I reflect. If I'm in the right direction, I still continue. If I need to change direction, I change direction. I make sure that I create positive ripples, understanding that my journey is not a sprint, but a marathon. One thing that I've learned is that I need to be kind to myself, because really it's not a destination, it's a destiny for me. So I understand also that it is a never-ending journey of self-discovery. So I'm a member of Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa. I'm also a member of Coaches and Mentors of Southern Africa, which is COMENSA, and I'm a member of Toastmasters International because growth is important. Without growth, we do not become better people. And yes, do you want me to tell you about the elements of communication as yet? Or should I tell you where I'm coming from? I'm coming from Hammanskraal, Themba in South Africa.
Welcome, Coach. Welcome, Coach. Yes, I know that every Tuesday I always say that it's Personal Development Day. We need to always develop ourselves every day. We really need a personal development. It will depend on what is it that you want to develop yourself in, what area are you struggling with. And I'm glad that every Tuesday we have coaches who are building us as we're doing communication. Communication, like I said last week, it was a very big challenge for me. It was so hard for me to start conversations. It was so hard for me to do presentations. Like it was a serious war, but I did manage to develop myself towards the goals that I wanted to achieve when it comes to presentations. I'm still learning, like I'm going to learn today on how to present myself, how to become an effective leader. Like I'm slowly building my confidence into communicating. I'm able to start conversations. I'm able to do presentation now. And thank you to Coach Rebecca, because of, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'll be here. So you you won't say that Khensani is shy. No, I'm not shy. I'm no longer shy.
Are you shy? You're no longer shy.
I was, but I'm no longer shy. And thanks to you, Coach, for developing us, for teaching us on how to present ourselves. So I will like the viewers and the listeners, please comment on the comment section if you need more information, or while the coach is busy communicating with us or teaching us things that we will be learning. Be free to comment, be free to ask questions. We will answer your questions. And Coach, why coaching? Why coaching?
Why coaching? I'll tell you. But before I even say that, yes, I want to encourage our listeners to be engaging. But I want to say that I'm going to answer more of your questions on studio than their question. But if there is time, I'll also answer their questions on the chat. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that you are ready with questions. But why coaching? Khensani, I don't think we can move forward without being coached. And coaching has started years back. Perhaps for us, especially as Africans, we did not put it as coaching. I mean, I can even think about my teachers who used to coach me. Even at home, they coach me as well. And yes, there is a difference between coaching, between mentoring, between also counseling. But for me, coaching, because coaching takes somebody from where the person is and putting them to a better space. It's about people realizing their potential and running with what they need to run with. So coaching is important for all of us. I think that we need to coach others, but also we need to self-coach as well. Yeah. And we need to have also people who will be telling us that, but Khensani, do you think that you are on the right space? How about going to this right space? And that also involves communication. That's how important communication is. And I'm thinking that in today's world, whereby we have, I mean, even on your phone, you have something called predictive text, whereby on your device, you'll be writing, then, your phone will be already writing things for you. That is communication. I mean, it's suggesting the words already, and it's using the words that you use more frequently. What are the words that you are using? Do you know what you're saying? Do you mean what you're saying? Or do we even understand? Is it received the way that you want it to be received? Because communication is very complex. And there are many definitions of communication, but what I can say is that communication is a continuous life skill. What do you think communication is, Khensani?
What is communication? To me, communication, I'm not going to do the definition at the dictionary.
No, don't do that. No, don't do that. I'll do the dictionary. Okay.
No, I'm not going to do the dictionary one. I'm not going to do the textbook one. I will just do the general one. The general understanding of communication to me is putting a message across, feedback, how the message and the feedback and being heard. How do the person understand what I'm saying? There's a lot I can say. If I can start talking about communication, I'll take all your time.
Before I even forgot,
because I'll start facilitating. Please don't take me there.
Before I even forget about your question about what we did last week, elements of communication. I mean, we spoke about the source, we spoke about the message, we spoke about the channel that you are using, for that particular message. I mean, for instance, in corporate spaces or in workplaces, sometimes you go to meetings whereby you are thinking, but you know what, an email could have actually been a better, channel of communication. Last week, we spoke about the receiver of your message. We spoke about the environment. Sometimes, even in the virtual space, you hear there is interruption or maybe the network is not the way it's supposed to be. We spoke about context, that I would be saying something to you, but if you don't actually get my context, that can be received in a different way than how I communicated it. And I think in terms of how we packaged our message, in terms of the elements of communication, we just said that is the ABCs. So the A was for self-awareness. You need to be aware of how you are communicating as a person. And I remember you also took us, on your journey on how you were not really an effective communicator, and you move from there to being an effective communicator because you are somebody who believes in personal growth. Then, so our B was for self-belief, that you need to believe that you are a good communicator, and you need to ensure that, those strengths, you highlight your strength, because, what you focus on enlarges. So if you're going to focus on your weaknesses, for me, I think that's not part of growth. Yes, they are there, but focus on your strengths. So believe that you are a good communicator and have action. Implement the things that you need to implement for you to be a better communicator and an effective communicator. And the C was for confidence. And confidence, when we spoke about it, we said that it was not about you comparing yourself with another person, but you knowing that you are better than yourself yesterday.
Yes.
So that, for me, the ABC, awareness, belief, and confidence. And confidence is very important. I can go to your space and I would be able to speak about anything that they tell me to speak about. Even if I don't know about something, I will just say, why are you putting me in this space? I don't know. And that is just confidence. That is just confidence. So should I go to the communication, what I think communication is?
Okay, I want to know, why is it so important to be an effective communicator? What does it mean to be an effective communicator?
So for you to be an effective communicator, it means that you need to be able to verbally say what you need to say in a simple way. Be able to read non-verbal communication, to be able to receive feedback. And especially as a leader, whether you are a business owner or whether you are somebody who is an employee as well, because as an employee, you are going to ask for that raise, how you are asking for that increase from your manager is very important. So as a leader, you need to also understand that communication is not about just me and you chatting. There are different parts that you need to look at, and I can tell you the different methods. I mean, you need to be considerate that there is verbal communication, as I said, there is non-verbal communication, there's written communication as well, there is visual communication as we are seeing each other. That is why somebody would say, but why are you doing that without you having to say anything? Or when you are speaking to somebody, somebody will say, do you understand what I'm saying? Because perhaps your facial expression is saying something. Yeah. Listening is crucial. And sometimes as leaders, we are not good listeners. Sometimes we are listening to respond rather than listening to understand. So those are the different methods or types of communication that you can think of.
Yeah, absolutely. And you already answered. I wanted to ask you, why is it so important for leaders to be effective communicators? If you want to unpack it, you can unpack it. And the other thing is, one thing that I've realized, I also do performance coaching. I also do leadership coaching. So I'll go to organizations, and when I get there, as I coach the employees due to how they perform in their fields or in their responsibilities or in their positions, I will find that the problem is not that they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do their duties. They have a problem with management because of they believe that some leaders are rude, some leaders, they don't know how to communicate. So I want to know, is the issue the power they are in, or is because of their leaders in the organization, or they call them the bosses, they are bosses, and some become bully because of I'm now a supervisor, so it's my way or there's no way. It's my way or the highway. And you'll find some managers are not considerate. Is it the lack of emotional intelligence? Is it a lack of knowledge, like we spoke about, the lack of knowledge? Is it a lack of leadership development in their workspace? What seems to be a problem? Because my challenge with performance comes from the leadership most of the time. It's not what is happening downstairs, but they always have problems with their leaders that no, Khensani, we do want to perform. We know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. However, we have a problem with so-and-so. Maybe it might be a manager, a supervisor, a team leader, a senior manager. They always clash with responsibilities, expectations, and all that. So what seems to be a problem? Is it the employees who are having a problem with communicating with the leaders, or the leaders feel like because of their in higher positions, they can say whatever they want to say, they can be rude, they can be bully, they can be all sorts of things that others, they don't understand what to do anymore. And bear in mind that there are some employees that resigns in organization because of a certain leader in an organization. Is that okay? Is it right for me to leave my work because of my supervisor doesn't treat me well? My leader is mistreating me?
That's a loaded one. I'm going to have to drink before. That is a loaded question. That's a loaded question. And I think for me to be able to answer that, I would want to unpack what communication is. Yeah.
Yes.
So there are different definitions in terms of communication, and one that I found from an article, a peer-reviewed article, for the academics. That was, 1964. That was a long time ago. So Wood in 1964 said that communication is a dynamic. Dynamic meaning that is active, is a systemic, meaning that communication is universal. Also is contextual, meaning that it's relative. When you're communicating, you need to be taking context into consideration. It's irreversible, meaning that is permanent. Once you say something, you can't take that back. And I think in Setswana, there is a saying, a proverb that says, "Lefoko ga le bue, go bua monwana." Loosely translated, it means that once you say something, it cannot be unsaid. And they say that communication also is proactive, meaning that it needs to be practical. And it's also a process whereby you are building. And what are you building? You are building personal meanings through the symbolic interaction. That is, for me, that is a loaded definition. So if I have to say it straight without actually explaining it, it will just say, communication is a dynamic, systemic, or contextual, irreversible, and proactive a process in which communication constructs personal meanings through their symbolic interaction. As I'm speaking to you, if I do even body gestures or if I use hands, somebody might be thinking, "Oh, what an active speaker." But somebody might be disturbed with that to say, "I am not hearing what the person is saying, but I'm actually seeing just the hands." So how we also interpret the meaning of communication, how we interpret the symbols that we are seeing, whether it's verbal or non-verbal, it is loaded. And I want to also take you back because, previously as well, because communication is just not only now. I mean, it's coming way, way, way back before us. I mean, philosophers as well, they said that, as humans, we don't make communication, but we are communication. We don't make communication. We are communication. And the reason why they said that is because communication comes from the word communicare. Communicare, meaning that to make common or to share. And as people, we love sharing. If somebody does not love sharing, I'm not so sure, but maybe we'll have those people that don't love sharing. But as people, we just love to share, whether it's information, whether it's physical things, or whether it's not physical things. If you're growing, you were telling us that you are a fitness coach. So if you're a fitness coach, meaning that you're going to share with us how we're doing it. And I've seen also what you are doing, that in terms of fitness, you're saying, you can do it, you start here and all that. That is part of sharing. So in a way, you are communicating. And it's critical in our lives because we are constantly communicating our needs, whether our thoughts or our feelings. And we also need to be able to differentiate between intrapersonal and interpersonal communication. And when I say intrapersonal communication, there are many examples. Like one example that I can tell you is self-talk. Self-talk is crucial, because that is your inner voice. What are you telling yourself? Like when you wake up, is it the alarm telling you that, wake up, and you wake up and you're doing, quick things and all that? Or are you even stopping to do those affirmations to remind yourself to say, "I am Rebecca, I am enough, I am beautiful, I am," whatever that you feel like doing as your affirmation, positive self-talk. And you don't do only the affirmation in the morning. Even during the day, when you tell yourself that you cannot do something, really, you cannot do it, because already you are telling your brain that you cannot do that. So self-talk is crucial. Another example is self-reflection, is self-awareness. So I want to encourage whoever that is listening that if you've been talking negatively to yourself, now is the time to stop. And you can do it still through self-talk. So you can do it as simple as, "Rebecca, stop." The minute you are hearing yourself saying something that is negative, call your name and say stop, and replace that with a positive statement. we can do when we are thinking about intrapersonal. But then as I move from intrapersonal, then I can move to interpersonal communication, whereby we also, as people, we also listen to everybody that is around us. And I mean, people will express their thoughts, they will express their needs, their feelings, but we relate to what people are saying in a different way. And it can be through body language, it can be through spoken language, it can be through written language. And in today's world, I'm listening to you, you are listening to me, is through the electronic platform. What are you seeing? I mean, simple things like I'm seeing you now and I'm seeing that you're looking at me. But once you also, and you are listening, you are present. But also the minute you are not present, I'm going to see that she is not present. That is why you see now with the electronic platform, then you need to go and, look at your camera, look at your audio, and you need to master those, those skills, because once now I speak to you and say, yeah, Khensani, already I've taken my eyes away. And it looks like I'm not engaging, but that is a topic for another day, because then now I'm touching on, presentation, how that is a topic on its own. Yeah. But while I'm still on interpersonal communication, because remember also when we communicate, you communicate to relate to other people, and as people, we love relationships, whether it's with close families, or you can even say, but I've got fewer people. Connection is very important for us as human beings. But when we communicate, people attach different meanings, and there can be conflict or misinterpretation. And I'm still coming to your question, because your question is so loaded, and I think it's touching me, because yes, people are leaving jobs because of their bosses, normally not because of the environment or the job itself. And it starts with how the two people are communicating with each other. Because if you're thinking also about interpersonal communication, let's say the employee and employer speaking, what is the language that is being used? How is the message being said? And you said that when we started. And also the non-verbal messages that are sent, and that can be through facial expression, it could be through gestures, it can be through the tone of the voice, or even the body language. Remember, when two people are in the same place, we are aware of each other. You can go to a space, Khensani, and not say anything to somebody, but somebody would realize that you are present. And by you not even saying anything, communication has taken place. No matter how unintentional, no matter how subtle it is. That is why you can be in a space and somebody would approach you and say, why are you staring at me? Why are you looking at me like that? And you'll be thinking, Mara, I am just looking at the space. Like, no, I am looking at the space, because communication has occurred. The person took how you are looking at them and they translated somehow into something.
That's true.
There is meaning in terms of communication, and I'm still going to answer what you said. And remember also culture, especially in our space in South Africa, we've got different cultures, and I know even globally there are different cultures as well. But I am just starting here at home, that we need to be as much as we need to be emotionally intelligent, we also need to be intercultural intelligent. There is intercultural awareness that needs to happen, because that is crucial. So it's having to understand both your own culture as well as other person's culture, and also the similarities in between. And I'm thinking of an example whereby in my workspace, we were having some challenges, and it was an employee, like my peer, as well as the boss. There was, that, friction that was happening all the time and all that. And this one time, the employee made a mistake. and they're coming from different spaces, as in race as well. So the employee who was my peer was called into the office, and she was reprimanded in terms of what she's done and all that, and because she felt sorry. She really felt sorry, and she really understood that it was a mistake. So what she did is that she looked down all the time, and the boss continued saying whatever that they needed to say. Then on a different note, because I had a good relationship with both of them, and the boss just said to me, it was very interesting that you would, and the other employee was there to say that, I spoke to you and you were cheeky, and it was in a meeting. For me, I thought, I was not part of that. Maybe I need not be there. So, and I couldn't understand why you were cheeky with me. And the person withdrew. So for me, once something like that happens, I would be in that space. That's how normally I would react. Maybe that's part of my communication. And I just asked, how did that person become cheeky? And she said that because the person was looking down all the time, meaning that was not interaction. And for me, I said that, in our culture, even in my culture, even when you're speaking to an adult in terms of communication, if you're showing respect, you look down. But in a corporate space, that communication is translated with a different meaning. And the different messages. If I say to you, Khensani, you need to improve on your speaking skills, how would you take that message?
I think it will depend on should I say, it will depend on what we will be talking about at the time and how you said it, and when, like, what was the conversation all about when you say I must improve in my speaking skills? I think it will depend on what exactly were we talking about when you're saying that, because like I said, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So it will depend. But from what you said, I didn't see or feel anything wrong. It's like you're giving me a message that you need to improve in your speaking skills. And I can say what is wrong with my speaking skills at the moment so that I can understand where you come from, which part of my speaking must I improve on.
Wow, you're so right, because the message. So now you are speaking about the message. You are definitely telling us that the message is at the heart of communication. That is so true. It is at the heart of the communication, because you are going to interpret the message. You are going to interpret it, and you're going to, look at it in different ways to say, but what did I do? What exactly do I need to improve on? Because remember that, messages as well, they don't only mean the speech that is used. It's information that is conveyed. And as you said, how did I say it? Because now you are taking into consideration the non-verbal message that is exchanged between me and you, the facial expression that I actually use, my tone of voice, the gestures, my body language. Because remember, non-verbal communication is also very important, and it can reveal a lot in terms of our emotional attitude. And it will also depend whether somebody is emotionally intelligent or not, because you can say that and somebody might answer in a way that you didn't actually expect. So we translate meaning differently in life. And going back to your question in terms of the boss and the employee, I think that listening is very important. Listening is a crucial skill for us as leaders. Khensani, if I'm unable to listen to you, I'm not going to be able to even understand what you're saying. I am not going to understand that. And I'm reminded of there was a useful technique on an article somewhere in, I think in 2017, on the mindful listening. It was featured there, whereby they say that there are 4 different aspects that you can look at. So the acronym is HERE. So when you are listening, and it's a mindful listening technique. So this mindful listening technique is just the same as your when we say active listening. So the acronym is HERE. So H is for hold. So you stop what you're doing and give your full attention to the speaker. And you can see, like, the little ones, when you're doing something probably at home and they're speaking to you, probably they'll say, "Mommy, look at me." So you need to stop and listen. As a leader, when somebody is speaking to you, it's very important that you stop what you're doing and listen. Think of us multitasking. I'm busy writing, I'm busy doing this and all that. Yes, we are in a busy world. But when you're stopping, you're also communicating to the person to say, you know what, whatever that you're saying is not very important. So H is for hold. E is for enjoy. Take a deep breath and simply enjoy listening. Don't even rush into wanting to respond to what somebody's saying. What if I'm telling you something for you to just listen? And even in a working environment, an employee might be coming to you as an employer for you to just listen and not say anything. And that is okay. There are different, spaces. Make a conscious effort to receive the communication. And you might even ask, would you mind if I respond? If the person would want to. And somebody might say, no, I just wanted you to listen. Even in friendships, a friend will say, oh, friend, this and that and that and that and that. And sometimes you don't even know what to say. And somebody will be saying, oh, but I feel much better. And, the person is gone. Hold, enjoy. A is for ask. Asking questions is a crucial skill. As coaches, there's no way that we cannot ask informed questions. Ask questions. And I said here, and the R is for reflect. Reflect back in terms of what you heard. And I remember what you said, that feedback is very important. Yeah. So you need to reflect. And as you reflect, you also need to show that you were listening. So the HERE platform is the HERE acronym. I think for me, it will work as leaders.
Name.
Yeah, wow. It will work as leaders. And sometimes leaders would react that way. As you said, bullying. Sometimes they would react in a way that they are shouting because they are insecure of themselves. And maybe a few might be that they don't even know that they're doing that. But those that are doing that intentionally is because they are trying to hide for you to see who they are. And really, if you are a leader, you cannot be a great leader and be rude to people. Those things, they don't go hand in hand. They don't, for me, they don't go hand in hand, because as a leader, it doesn't matter what somebody has done. But as a great leader, if you want somebody to learn from what they've done, you will be able to communicate in an effective way that somebody will realize that their mistake, and somebody will be able to correct their mistake. Because then if you're shouting, personally, I would block. I won't even hear what you're saying. That's just me.
Message, yes. But you'll find that others, they make, maybe I can say they make excuses and say that is the pressure that I have, and yes, it's the pressure that I have, and you guys need to step up in what you're doing, because I also have pressure above. Therefore, according to them, they have a right to behave the way they're behaving because they get the same pressure they give you. So it's not my fault that I said that, but all I am saying to you is that you need to step up and do your work, because I also need to do my own work. And how do you work around that? How do you, as an employee, then what must be said? Must I say, okay, let me talk to your manager then? Let me talk to whoever is supervising you. If this is the manner of communication you're going to use towards me because of the pressure that you get. And like you're saying, you are right when you're saying that some, they're not even aware how they speak to others. They think how they're saying things is the right way. No, this is what needs to be done. Therefore, as a leader, it's either they listen or they don't. It's up to them. But the manner of approach, is it the correct manner? The manner of presenting the matter in hand, is it the correct manner? Or because of my boss says, Khensani, I need to get this document by 10:30, and I have an assistant that is doing the job. I also go there with the same message that I got and changing it to be my message so that you can feel the pressure that my manager also or my supervisor is saying this needs to be done. So I just want to find out around there, how do we work around that? Do we leave these leaders to continue be themselves? I just resign and leave the workspace and go and look for another employer to employ me? Maybe they will communicate better. What is the problem? What exactly is the problem there?
You know, Khensani, I would say that also it starts with us. We need to teach people how to treat us. And in my opinion, there is no level of pressure that should make you to be rude to me if you're calling yourself a great leader. No amount of pressure should be pressurizing you to be rude to me. If yes, you want the work in a very, maybe the deadlines are tight, I would understand if you communicate with me. But no reason at all for you to be rude. You are just reminding me that, you know, as leaders as well, we need to develop better communication habits. And that requires us to look at ourselves, because you cannot develop habits if you don't even know how you communicate, whether you are effective or not. And I mean, that will involve you not having employees who are frustrated, not having employees who would go outside the meeting and have the meeting outside of the meeting, because they know that, you know what, if Khensani is our leader, even if we say this, it doesn't actually matter. And sometimes we even go to meetings whereby as leaders, we love our voices so much that we don't even get input from employees. And if you are that kind of leader, for me, the question is, why do you even need people there? Shouldn't you just be doing a webinar or sending a video for people to listen? Because people go to a meeting, they're not even able to say something, or if somebody says something, then you just shoot and shut a person without people having to contribute. And when people realize that, because in my opinion, people are intelligent, when people realize that, they block you. They go to meetings, they don't contribute, and then it's your meeting. And as I said that, as leaders, we need to develop habits. I'm thinking of, I love acronyms. So the acronym that is coming to mind is the LEARN acronym. So meaning that your listening skills, there should be a clear communication from you as a leader. You need to be actively listening or mindfully listening. The E would be empathy skills. Do you empathize with your employees? Or when somebody is going through a tough time, somebody's even scared to say that they're going through a tough time. They would rather give you work that is of poor quality because they're just afraid to say, if I tell Khensani that, I'm going through a tough time and, she's just going to shout at me. The A for me would be, the attitude of learning. Already you said, Khensani, when you said, I love learning, I love growing. You need to have an attitude of learning. As a leader, you learn all the time. And for me as a leader, I learn every day. I make it a point to learn every day, and I make it a point to learn from somebody. For me, the R, learn is L-E-A-R. R is for relationships. Build relationships that are meaningful. So if you invest as a leader, if you invest in relationships, people will come to you to tell you confidential information because they know they can trust you. But if relationships are not there, as a leader, you are going to hear from somebody from another department just saying something in passing, and you'll be thinking, yeah, but I work with Khensani. How come I don't know? And the N is for non-verbal communication. As a leader, be aware of your non-verbal communication, because that is part of communication. So be aware, just be aware.
And to be honest, also the performance of the employees reflect bad or good to leaders.
Yes.
How your employees perform says a lot about what kind of a leader are you.
Yeah, you are touching on something that is very important, because for me, if I'm your employee, for me to be encouraged to be doing the work, I need to know that, Khensani, you are valuing me and you are appreciating what I do. To the extent that when the deadline is tight, I'll be the one that is raising my hand to say, hey, where can I help you? But if it's the opposite, if I'm not valued and if I'm unappreciated, even if there's a deadline, if I know that I work until 4, I'll be saying, oh, yeah, but that is over time. I wouldn't be able to do it. And in corporates or in organization, that is a very important aspect, because that talks to engagement. How engaged are your employees? Because an employee being there present at the workspace is not the same as being engaged. If I'm engaged, it means that I'll be able to give inputs. I'll be able to be proactive. I'll be able to say, but you know what, Khensani, I think if we do this, this will improve how we do our work. But if I'm disengaged, I'm just a body there. I'm making sure that you are paying at the end, because I'm at least providing something, whether it's a service or not, but I'm at least there.
But is it what the employees want? Because another thing is, remember, when I'm employed, I also have my own goals to achieve. And I cannot stay in an organization where I'm not going to grow anyway. I'm just there because month end I get a pay slip and go home. Like, obviously, I won't feel valued. I won't see any growth. And you need to remember also that when you employ people in your organization, it's an investment. Are you investing knowledge for them to be able to run that organization when you're no longer there? That's another thing. And my opinion is, for like personal opinion, I won't work in an organization where I don't see growth. It doesn't matter whether they're going to pay me or not, but I need to somehow grow, somehow achieve certain things in a company, not only financially, but knowledge-wise. Am I gaining something from my leader? What is it that I learn from my leader each and every week? Do I go back home empty every week? Do I go back home sad? Do I go back home broken or destroyed because of the behavior of my leader or things that I get from my leader? From Monday to Friday, all the leader feeds us as negativity and all that. Obviously, I won't perform because of the negative environment that I'm working in. However, I won't be able to be productive in a space where I'm not valued, in a space where I'm not growing.
Wow, Khensani, I didn't think that we are going to go as deep as this. But what you're touching, I mean, you are touching on real life issues. Real life issues, because yes, it happens. And what you just communicated there is to say, as Khensani, my values are important, and it's very important for me as Khensani for my values to be aligned with the organization that I'm working for. And I really want to believe that, as a leader, as an employer, you are supposed to be a coach. Whether you like it or not, you are supposed to be a coach. Because if I'm thinking about a coach, it means that you are supposed to be constantly communicating with your employee. And I want to believe that you need to be communicating in an effective way. It should not be about you communicating only. It should also be about you listening. And maybe the relationship that you need to have with your employee should be like this. Maybe the first thing, you need to be asking thought-provoking questions to your employee. And when you're asking those thought-provoking questions, you need to effectively listen while you are fully present. Because if you're asking somebody who's your employee to say, but Khensani, in 3 years' time, where do you see yourself? The person will be able to actually tell you and all that. And and it shouldn't be about you, it should be about the employee at that time, because as a coach, it's about your client. So you're asking those thought-provoking questions, you are fully present, and you are actively or mindfully listening. The second thing that you need to be doing as an employer is that you need not judge the behavior of your employee. When somebody's saying, you know what, in 3 years' time, I want to see myself somewhere whereby that place is outside your organization, you need to be okay about that. Why do you to hold people hostage? You need not judge that person. And when the person understands that, you understand where they're going, you understand their goals, they will continue performing. They would want to be better. And that person, you can actually coach that person. And remember, you are helping. Also, when you're in an organization, it should not be about helping the person to be stuck in that organization, but it should be about that person flourishing, that person making sure that they realize their potential. And when they realize their potential, they will be able to fly. They will be able to leave your organization and still be able to contact you, because you would have the relationship. And when you're doing that second step, whereby you're not judging behavior, please, and even as a coach, we don't use the why, use the what. Because then when you use the what question, it does not become confrontational. Because if you use the why, somebody might feel, confronted, and a person might actually hold back. The third thing is that you need to believe in your employee, that your employee is capable for doing what they said they will do, because you are the one that hired that person, or you find that person there. So it means that person was hired for that particular job, and provide the ongoing support. The fourth thing that you need to do is that you need to let the person also set the agenda. For the meetings, let the employee sometimes, set the agenda and be there. And let the person commit to the actions because they've set the agenda. And the last thing is that in terms of, you as an employer or as the boss, I don't even like using the boss, as the leader, build meaningful relationships of accountability, truthfulness, openness, and trust. Because then, if you have that relationship, you'll be able to say, by the Khensani, you said you'll be able to do this. You are not confronting the person. You are holding the person accountable. That is very important. And as leaders, it's also very important for us to be having those, those one-on-ones. We keep on saying, oh, I'm busy. What are you busy with? If your job, I think I used to say that when I was in the working space, to say, if my bosses, measurement is that the person should be managing a team, and we don't have one-on-one meetings, or there is no team that is built, that person should not even be getting a bonus or should not even be getting a good performance because they failed. And I'm saying that, realizing that also there's a difference between team building, between team coaching and team facilitation, which is another topic. But I feel that as leaders, we need to make sure that, we facilitate growth in our teams and we coach those that report to us.
Sure.
That is just my belief.
Yeah, Coach, that's true. You're absolutely right. So, Coach, can you maybe name types of leaders we have?
There are different types to mention, but I'll mention two. I'll just mention two type of leadership that for me I would suggest, and for me that is the transformational leadership as well as the servant leadership. Because if you are a servant leader, you lead from behind. You can go to a meeting. If you're going to a meeting with your employees, you wouldn't even mind for them to shine, because as they shine, you are shining. That shows that you as a leader, you are creating more leaders, not followers, more leaders. It will mean that if you are a business owner, the business will be able to run without you being there, because you would have created the capability of people doing the work without you. And that is such a big risk, especially for if you're thinking about small business or medium business, because then it means that people will have to fail at some stage. But what is success without failure? We are taught that. Yeah, that's what we are taught. For me, growing up, it was always about winning. And it took me some time before I can establish my business. Because I had fear of failure, to say, what if I fail? But now if I fail, I know I'm failing forward. I'm failing forward because I'm going for my success. That's how I'm seeing it. And the transformational one is whereby you as a leader, you are not only transforming you, but you are also transforming those that you lead. Transformation is important. And you've said it so many times, Khensani. I want to grow. If I'm not growing in that space, I want to go. And that should be the attitude.
No, most that definitely. With me, if I'm in a space where there's no growth, I'm sorry, I won't stay long, because I want to grow in everything that I do. There must be a change. Remember, you shared last week about if you need transformation, you need to change. And how to change. You said you gave us some few, you shared 4 C's, and then you said, get a coach and change and make a choice, be coachable. Be coachable, because if you are if you are under a certain leadership, it must show. It's not all about the salary that I get, the position that I'm holding in a company, but the value that I bring in the company. Yes. That is the most important thing. Even if I can earn 200,000 per month, what kind of value do I bring to that organization? Is there any growth? Is there any growth in everything that I'm doing? Or I'm just there as Khensani and just submitting what I need to submit? What is it that we are achieving at the time? Because another thing with me as a leader, like you have given us types of leaders, a servant leader and a transformational leader. A transformational leader, it must be somebody who's able to empower people, to elevate people, to equip them and to evolve. Like the people must evolve in an organization, knowing that, no, our leaders do. Like I said, the employees, the performance of your employees reflects the kind of a leader is behind them, because you cannot say, no, my people are not performing. Why are they not performing? What kind of a leadership are they submitting under? And another thing, as employees, we tend not to believe under the leadership we submit. So yes. You need to believe under the leadership you submit like, you know, if you don't believe under the leadership you are in, then it's going to be a problem, because number one, you won't be able to listen to the leader. You will always interpret the message your own way. You will be offended with every message that comes. You won't participate because you don't believe under that leadership. So it's very important as employees that, let's say they take Khensani and say, you are going to manage this department, and the attitude be like, yo, so, you know, that's another attitude. Yes, that's another attitude, because employees tend to look into who is doing it. And the problem is not who is doing it. They don't believe that the person who's appointed to do that can actually do the job. So,
you know,
so how are you going to perform? No, because of his Khensani, I know it's fine, kids. You know, so the attitude that the employees have, it also affects what they hear from their leaders. Because of you came in with a certain attitude. Whenever your leader is speaking, already because of at the back of your mind, you have that thing of age. Maybe they came in because they holding honors, masters, and all that. They don't have any experience. That is a bad attitude, because of there was a lady that I met, I think 2 years ago. She was the youngest manager in the company, and then she felt unwelcomed. And I said, why? And you know, everywhere I go, they're saying that she doesn't know anything, she doesn't have experience, she only came with a qualification. And I said to her that, you know, the best way to do it, make sure that you do team building, build relationships. During lunchtime, go and be around them. Don't isolate yourself, because the more you isolate yourself, you won't be able to meet them where they are. Because sometimes as a leader, you also need to meet your people where they are. You remember, you will be leading people who don't have metric, number one, people who are just negative, like they are very negative in their lives. So just try to reach them where they are, and be a human, be humble, and all that. Sometimes when they see those things, because they also have this thing of saying, no, most of the leaders have pride. They think they are better than us, and all that. But building good relationships also comes with how you communicate with people. Like I said in the beginning, that it's not what you're saying to them, it's how you're saying it. So some leaders also have that attitude of saying that, no, I'm a leader, therefore it's my way or the highway. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Your qualification doesn't work when it comes to people. Remember, humans are humans. You need to be a human, humble yourself, and find a better manner of approach to speak to people, because already they have a negative mentality towards your leadership.
So true, because, you know, Khensani, also, I mean, there are different, you know, communication personalities, if I can put it that way. I mean, there are people who are supportive communicators, those that are, you know, calm and super friendly, you know, there are people who are analytical communicators. And just imagine if you've got this different type of communicators. I mean, those ones, they will think before they actually act. And there are also initiating communicators, those that are passionate and full of ideas. You know, if you need to brainstorm, that is the person that you will call. And there are also direct communicators, people who will tell you what they feel. And they would also, I think, appreciate if you did tell them what you feel. So if you've got this different types of communicators as a leader, you need to know, how do you manage them? How do you lead them? And how do you make sure that you communicate with them effectively? And that will also depend on what type of leader you are. I mean, I spoke about the transformative leader as well as the servant leadership. But remember, there are also those people that are autocratic, that are using autocratic style of leadership. So you can imagine if you have that person who's autocratic, and you've got that person person who's a direct communicator and they're in the same space, employer and employee. Already there, I can see conflict. And there are also democratic, style type of leadership. And those people, they will let you, guys, what do you think? What do you think? And then they take everything else and they make sure that they move forward. But just imagine if you've got a free leadership style kind of leader. And you are combining that with somebody who is a what type of lead communicator? Somebody who is a initiating communicator, full of ideas, passionate and all that. And you've got somebody who's got a free style of leadership. Things might not move. So you need different styles of leadership as well as different types of personalities or communicators. So that is very important. And in a working environment, what you said is so crucial, because I go to a working space, and if it's toxic, it's negative, I have to take that to my clients. I need to take that to my family, and the ripple effect of that, it's just too huge. I don't even want to go to the extent whereby maybe studies have been made in terms of now mental health, people, suffering from mental health because of things that they are experiencing in the workspace, because of people, or I won't even say leaders, because for me, I won't put leaders and effective leadership, effective communication in the same space. So people who are managers and having a poor communication style, the damage is being made, and we need to stop that as leaders. It's time to also reflect and get feedback from the people. 360. I don't think a lot of people love 360 because, 360 kind of feedback is whereby you're getting feedback from your peers, you're getting feedback from your subordinates, and also those that you are reporting to. And that might not be a nice way to know how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And we are going to the end of our show. Coach, I have only one question for you. One last question. One last question is, do you think in our government, is our government effective communicators?
In my opinion, I would say that no. Our government is not effective in terms of, communication. And I'm saying that because if you are thinking about unemployment now, and you see at our youth and opportunities that are there, opportunities are not matched to our youth unemployment. If you are looking at SMEs and you look at opportunities that are there, yes, we've got our CEDAs, we've got our, and apologies for using the acronyms now because of time, we've got our CIPC, whereby you need to register your company, you've got your SARS, whereby your tax, needs to be in order. But if I'm an SME who is not really educated, not in terms of business, but educated in terms of me reading and writing, educated in terms of me using technology, and now there's technology, how am I going to make sure that I bring my business to where it needs to be? So I in my opinion, I don't think that we are communicating, effectively in terms of what is out there. We don't even have different hubs whereby if I need communication, if I need information, this is where I would go so that they can communicate to us. You go to some of the government institutions in terms of queries, and you find that you are number 100 and something on the line. And you're thinking, how are they communicating this? Is it longer queries, or are they taking longer to really give people feedback or solve these queries? But what is that communicating? Do they have lesser staff? Do they have to increase their staff? So we are communicating every day with everything. When you wake up, when you are sleeping, you are communicating.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. I've heard you. So we are going to the end of our show, and we're still going to do communication, and we are continuing next week. We are wrapping off with presentation, the manner of approach, how we present ourselves, how we show up, especially us on Zoom meetings. Some of us, we are wearing pajamas. So next week we are going to learn on presenting, how we need to present ourselves, how we need to approach issues in organizations, how to show up. How do we show up? And today we learned about listening is a skill. Communication also is a skill that you can develop. If you want to grow, you also need to make sure that you are an effective communicator. And communication is everywhere. We have communication in every relationship that you have, including your family, how you communicate with your family. We also learned about being present. Are you a present leader? Do you listen to what they're saying? Are you paying attention? And those were very important for us as leaders in organization. And as a coach is working on organizational change, if there's an organization that feel that no, for us to grow, we really need coaching. Coach Rebecca is there to help you. You can have her details. She will give you her details shortly, and we are off for tonight, and I'll see you again next week for presentation. So presentation is, we will be closing off. I want to hear, because I know sometimes I show up also with some pajamas, and I'm just joking. I'm just pulling your leg. But please, guys, remember to be mindful. The most important thing is to be mindful when it comes to communication. You need to, no matter what, it doesn't matter what is happening in your life, but you really need to be mindful in how you communicate with others. Coach, it's time for us to say our good night. It was an incredible communication and show. And we can go on and on and on about communication, because a lot of people don't understand what is wrong with our leaders. A lot of people don't understand our leaders. They don't understand what is wrong with the employees. So that's why coaches are always needed in an organization, for them to be developed in a certain skill, like listening skill, communication skill, presentation skills. There's a lot of skills that we do for companies so that they can grow their people and the company can be productive and be profitable at all times. Coach, over to you. You can also say your goodbye. We are running out of time now, and we will see each other again next week.
Thank you so much, Khensani. Thank you so much, listeners. I want to end with this. Communication works for those who work at it. And that is a quote from John Powell. If you're not working at your communication, communication is not going to work for you. For organizations, employee-employer engagement is very important. And as an employee, as much as you're looking for your employer to communicate effectively, you also need to communicate effectively. Teach people how to treat you. Teach people how to communicate with you. With that said, you can find me on LinkedIn, Rebecca Sibia. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me also, is my website on? I'm thinking, yes, my website will be on when you are going to search. Is www.eripples.co.za. With that said, please work on yourself, and remember, it starts with you. Self-talk is crucial. Self-talk. Good night.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much, Coach, for coming through. I'll see you again next week as we are going to speak about presenting. And guys, from us, I will say to you that be mindful, be kind, and remember, when you open your mouth, you are letting the world know who you are. Sometimes you'll be saying that, no, I want to speak my mind. But remember that as soon as you open your mouth, you are letting everybody around you who you are. And it's so important that, you know what, we gain this knowledge, we develop ourselves in order to become better people and present people. Because another thing is that we're not present, we're not paying attention to smaller details. So we thank Coach Rebecca for coming through and educating us in this journey of communication, because this year in 2022, we want to become better communicators. We want to be effective in how we speak to people, how we do things, and how we present ourselves. So, Coach, thank you so much, and good night to you. Good night to the listeners. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I love you guys, and don't forget to leave comments in the comment section, and see you next week. Good night.